Good morning to each and everyone, and to you, Sir Jonas, as well. My name is Alanfe Arsalas, and I'm tasked to report about the access right. Now, let us define what is an access right. So, access right is the permission of an individual user or a computer application which holds to read, write, modify, delete, or otherwise access a computer file, change configuration or setting, or add or remove application. So, in other words, these are the permission that are placed in a computer resource in which if an account does not have an access right, so you cannot access the file or you cannot read the file or write on the file. Moving on, um, these are the policy-based control of the access right. Who has the access to specific systems, what they can do with them, and when they are allowed to access. So these are the things that the access right can do. So if you are an administrator, you have the unlimited access or privilege. And then if you are a standard user, then this is exactly the opposite of the administrator, which wherein you have a limited access on the file itself. So you're not the one who's fully in control of the file. Only the administrator can do that. So next, the access right, we have the generic access right, in which first you can see as generic or all. It means that you can read, write, and execute the file. So if the file is actually in a setting wherein it is generic or all, you can do any changes on the file depending on what you want. And then the second one is generic or execute. So third, we have generic or read, wherein you can only read the file, or you can only you cannot do anything about it. So an example for these are the files wherein it's in PDF mode, where you cannot change or alter any changes on it because the administrator has set the access right onto generic read mode only. That's why you can't do anything about it. And then when we say if the file is in a generic right, then this is the part wherein you can alter some changes on the file itself. So you can edit it for your own liking. And then we have the standard access right. First, we have the delete, or meaning the right to delete the object. Second is read and control. The right to read the information in the object security description or not included in the information in the SACL. And then third one is the synchronize, wherein the right to use the object for synchronization. So some object types does not support these access rights. And then we have the right DAC. So it means that the right to modify the ACL in the object security description. And then the right owner, it is the right to change the owner in the object security descriptor. Moving on, we have the basic access control. First one, we have the type of file. Second, owner's permission. Third, group's permission. And fourth is the other's permission. So in here, you can see all the permission that you can do if ever, if you're an administrator. So it's up to you if you wanted your file to be visible not only to your students but only to other people, such as in public places. So first we have RWX, 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 in which the file is in this permission, everyone can actually read, write, and execute your file. So if you type RWXRXRX, then everyone can read and execute this, but only the owner can write on it. Meaning the owner has the privilege to edit the file itself. So if they have the access to the file, they can only read and execute the file. They can't do anything about it, or they cannot change or alter it. And then if you write R and R. So the owner and everyone in this group can only read this file, but the others cannot access to it. So this is an exclusive file. An example for this are the files that we upload on our Google Classroom, in which only the teacher and the students are allowed to view the files, and not everyone can view it because um, they're not included in the directory itself. And then we have the DRW, in which the directory everyone can read and write. No one, including the owner, can traverse it. So again, this is a very good example and a very good example for this. So again, a very good example for this are the ones that we upload on our Google Classroom, are the ones that we upload on our Google Classroom, wherein for an example, as a masterand, so we are the only ones who can read and write on our file, and then the professor will have to ask permission if they can also read and write the file that we uploaded, but they cannot do anything about it if we don't give that access to them. So the next one is the LRX link, in which the permission for a link generally do not matter. So in here, I want you to watch a video with regards about the access rights, so that you can fully understand about the things that I've mentioned before about the permissions that you can do on your file that you uploaded, because it's actually explained properly in the video.
As soon as one thinks about letting multiple users access a file system, it becomes clear that we will need some notion of access rights. Looking at our directory tree here again, it should be clear that Alice should not be able to see Guest's or Bob's file unless they say it's okay. And we certainly don't want to let just any user access the operating system's files. Ultimately, for each user file pair, we need to know what permissions that user has. That is, which of the basic actions of reading, writing, and executing the file is he allowed to do. Conceptually, we can think of this as a giant matrix, with users for the columns and files as the rows, for instance. And we could store the information that way, but it would be pretty inefficient. Think about how many files would have the exact same set of values. Unix-like operating systems achieve efficiency by assigning an owner and a group to each file. Here I'm displaying this information as the ls command would show it in the terminal. The owner, or user of the file, is typically the creator of the file, and the group might be faculty or staff or students or something like that in a university setting. We have separate read, write, and execute bits for the owner or user, the group, and then another set for everybody else. This gives us a total of 9 bits instead of 3 times the number of users on the system. Permissions on directories make the system even more complicated. The basic rule is that reading affects your ability to see what's in the directory, writing affects your ability to create, delete, and rename files in the directory. Both of these are intuitive if you think about a directory as a file itself containing the names of the files and subdirectories in it. Execute permissions are a little more confusing, as they control whether you can pass through the directory and access its contents in ways other than just manipulating the file names. For cases where more detailed permissions are needed, access control lists are sometimes used on various operating systems. These make it possible to create arbitrary row values in our permissions matrix by granting permissions to individual users or other groups defined in the file system. I encourage you to explore some more on your own. Some good places to start are provided in the instructor notes.
So that ends the video presentation. So in here, as you can see on your screen, so we have the permission and the above, in which is the in which the permission that is actually used in here is the RWRR, meaning the user can only read and write. And then the group or the other people who can access your file can only read your file, because it's in here that it's the letter R. There's two letter R in here, so that means they can only read your file. And then if we have the RWX below, rx plus Bob or the user, it means that the user can read, write, and execute the file, as well as the group can only read and execute the file. So they cannot write your file unless um, the administrator itself has provided an access if they can write your file. So again, the other permissions that I've again the other permissions that I've mentioned is actually um, on the first slides, so you can just explore it and see if um, it actually works best and see if what works best for you and to your students, for example. So this is a very good opportunity for us to learn, not only on the classroom setting, but also by exploring the use of technology and incorporating it in our subjects or in our classes. So that would be all for my report, and thank you. So for the sources of my report, here are the sources, and have a good day, everyone. Thank you for watching.